So today, first I thought I have nothing to tell you, but now I have something to tell you suddenly. But it's something very advanced. So I don't know if I should tell you. Are you ready for something really advanced? Yeah? Okay. Just kidding. So do you guys remember, I'm gonna show you. Do you guys remember the anchors? Can you see it on your screen? Remember this? So we talked about this, that I did explain that there is a progression in this. So it does say remaining present through feeling. And we start by feeling the body, earth and sky, which is the most substantial and physical thing to feel, feeling the form. The body is the easiest and closest thing to us to feel. Then feeling the breath, also quite easy, but which is, breath is both, it's prana and it's non-matter and matter, because it's also perceived through the body, isn't it? So it's already a bridge between form and formless. Then listening, same, it's perceived through the body, senses, but it's even in a certain way more subtle than breath, because there's just vibrations. Or let's say it's pretty similar to breath in terms of being both form and formless. Then we go to feel the inner space, and that is really moving into the formless, even though we did that exercise and we start feeling the skin, remember? That's one way. And then once you're aware of this, you feel the skin of the body, or you visualize it, you imagine this space that is enclosed by the skin as an empty space. Yeah. And then everything that is perceived within that space. So for example, even the breathing, often we say the breathing, perceive the breathing as if floating in this inner space. But pretty much perceiving anything, perceiving sounds, the sounds, yes, they're triggered from an outside source most of the time, but they are perceived also in that inner space. Every perception, we said, it's perceived in the inner space, isn't it? So we could also say the whole outer world is inside, actually, in terms of where we experience it. It's always experienced inside, in that inner space. So what I wanted to add this morning to this is that that progression from form to formless, it doesn't have to be followed. Yeah. If you feel that whatever, maybe your mind is very busy today, and you feel like you need something very tangible to anchor yourself into the present. The first three works very well. Feeling the body, feeling the breath, listening to sounds. We also said they can happen they do happen all at the same time, actually. One doesn't exclude another. So I can feel my body, feel the energy of the sky and earth, feeling very balanced and grounded through that. And at the same time, being aware of the sounds, or at the same time, feeling aware of the breath. In reality, consciousness is 360 degrees, we said, and it's aware of all the perception at the same time. Then we might decide to move our attention more, our inner awareness more towards one or the other, but it doesn't mean that the other ones stop happening. Yeah, the senses are open. So I hope that everybody knows by now what is more conducive to being present for you. Even though even that might change. Yeah, maybe at a certain point in life, one thing is more conducive to being present for you, and after a few months or a few years or a few days, it changes. There's no rule, there's no fixed thing. Yeah, again, the existence in life and the present moment is a constant fluid movement. So there's nothing fixed. But what I wanted to add is that the fourth anchor is, in a way, what takes you deepest. Not in the sense that you are necessarily, that you're not present through the others. But if we want to go really deep into ourselves, we have to enter into the formless. And this is the perception of the inner space is the closest one to that. In particularly, when you start feeling the inner space as empty, which it doesn't happen like that, even though sometimes it does. Yeah. So you might feel the inner space and be aware of all that is perceived without the inner space. It's very good, no problem, beautiful. But at a certain point, especially when the mind becomes very quiet and the body is breathing by itself, and you realize that, you might start perceiving, or I'm telling you this so you can start having that attitude, to perceive the space as empty. Why I say that? Because even the perception through the senses, even becoming aware of the inner space and all that is perceived in that, is still observing objects. Is still observing, putting the attention on object or experiences. And we want to move that attention to the subject more. Experiences are, have many qualities, many colors, many forms. Experiences can be sometimes very pleasant and beautiful that you completely get attracted and hooked on them. It's like, oh my God, yeah, I want to just keep feeling this, or I hope it's not going to happen, or I mean, it's not going to stop, or maybe you sit and it's like, oh, I want to feel the same way I felt last week because it was so beautiful. No, It happens this. But we're still focusing on an object. The real goal of meditation is to get centered in the subject. That subject that is the witness in consciousness, we can call it, which can remain unaffected by any experience that happens. So when we center ourselves in the subject, that's when we are truly free from everything. Because if I still prefer an experience rather than another, if I still search for a pleasant experience, I'm still hooked into the phenomena and into the object. I'm still identified not with the true self, but with what the true self is experiencing. So it's one step more. Yeah, it's a little switch from object to subject, but very important. Otherwise, we are stuck still on the object-oriented egoic self, because that the egoic self and the mind, the egoic mind, are very object-oriented. That's why I keep repeating it's important to familiarize ourselves with space, with silence, with stillness. There are qualities that are formless. To start allowing it and getting familiar with that space, to center yourself in a way in an emptiness where there's nothing to grasp, nothing to hold on to, no experiences, no object in particular. So that is let's call it the more evolved step, or the last step to take. When you feel, okay, this is a good time, my mind is very quiet, there's nothing much to process, there's no big emotions coming, then take that little switch. Okay, what if I just feel this inner space as empty? And the feeling is a little bit like you are disappearing. You as what you're used to consider you. It's like there's nothing to do for that I. And then you start just sensing everything, existence, without an interference of an I. And then the next step, you'll start feeling you're part of that existence too. But then everybody will have different feelings. I don't want to say what you're going to feel or what you're going to perceive, but you might perceive this. So the direction, eventually, it's a little bit that one. That is really the point of freedom, when the I start dissolving. And it happens. It might be for 3 seconds. It might be for 10 seconds. It might be for a minute, when everything is very quiet, everything stops. And your attention has nothing to hook on. Bring it to that. Bring it to emptiness. Bring it to space. And rest in that. See, what does it feel like? Because as long as our practice is experience-oriented, we are still feeding our egoic self. In a subtle way, but we are. We're still like, oh yeah, I want to sit and meditate so that I experience this and that and that. No. Well, it's okay in the beginning, but that's why I said this is an advanced step that I'm passing on to you. Just put it somewhere in your back folders so that you remember it when the time it's appropriate. That Yeah, go back to emptiness anytime you can. Remember when we said the process of meditation is about subtracting, not adding. Yeah, it's that too. We subtract. Why we subtract? Because we want to subtract until the space is empty. There is no objects. There are no objects. There are no experiences to get lost in. Then there is just a conscious awareness, a presence. There's just subjectivity without any object. That is this place the mystic point to. When there is just subjectivity, the ego dissolves and the whole existence is available. Then you are an empty cup, and existence can pour itself into that. But if we stay hooked into experiences and perceptions, it's good. I mean, it's a step into presence. That's beautiful. One step more is to let go of those two and just rest into emptiness. Okay. Now, don't worry too much about it. You're not doing anything wrong. But I wanted to put that in your awareness that, okay, that's where we're going eventually. And then when you start practicing that, you will notice that even that sense of emptiness can become itself an anchor. Yeah, maybe we'll put it as a fifth anchor. You just tune into emptiness. Just you start already after you relax the body and relax the breathing, and you feel present through the body. Then you can just move directly into that after a while. Or maybe it's very easy. You can do it now for you. For some people, it's very easy. And that emptiness really holds you completely here, because there is nowhere to go. The time stops. There's no place to go. You don't move. Your mind doesn't move around. And it's a very peaceful space to be in. Sometimes blissful, actually. But don't get hooked up to that either. So, and that emptiness can also be felt as a fullness, in the sense that it's full of presence, but nothing else. Full of the subjectivity. That's another way to feel it. If the word empty scares you, you can use the fullness, it's a space full of presence, full of subjectivity. Osho used to say, once that happens, and there is only the witness, and there is nothing for the witness to witness, because there are no object, no experiences, all that energy turns upon itself. And I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen, because I'm still experiencing that myself. So, but apparently that's where you want to go eventually. So through the practice of witnessing, we learn to disidentify, detach ourselves, become more quiet, less affected by everything. So slowly, we create more and more space. And then it comes a moment, it can be within the same session, where you feel like, okay, now I can move into emptiness. I put my attention there. And then there is just this presence. There's just a witnessing that is not witnessing anything. Okay, I don't want to go into getting too complicated. But I think this gives you a good sense of what I'm referring to. So shall we sit together a little bit? So find a comfortable position. And when you're ready, just let your eyes close, allowing the energy to move inward. First, grounding ourselves to the present through perceiving the body from inside. Feeling if there is anything that wants to be relaxed more, any area. How beautiful the body is, always here, always present. So let's use that sense of, let's use that to anchor ourselves to the present. Becoming aware of the weight of the body. Letting go, relaxing so that you start feeling you're sinking a little bit downwards into the chair or into the pillow, into the floor. Just connect with that earth energy. Letting go deeper into the floor, into the earth. Feeling the top of the head and the gentle light pull upwards from the sky. Noticing that the breathing is relaxing and slowing down by itself. Noticing the sounds and the silence underneath the sounds. And in between. and sensing the inner space. Sensing the spaciousness first inside the body, as if the space enclosed by your skin is empty. Of course, physically is not empty. There are organs and all kinds of things. We're talking about the energy body now. So you can just feel that as empty because that's what it is. Space. And this space is where we perceive everything, where we perceive the breathing, the sounds, where we observe any thoughts that arises. We observe any emotions that might arise. Everything is perceived and witnessed in this inner space by our witnessing consciousness. We can call it awareness too. So with that, you can switch your attention to the observer too and start sensing where is the observer? What is the observer? What is this? See if you can perceive that that's who you are. You are the one that is sensing, perceiving, and observing all this. You are that awareness, not what is perceived. And that awareness remains untouched. It's always there, it's always been there, it will always be there. It's the only things that never changes. Sense yourself as the observer. You will still perceive, you will still be able to feel the body, anything connected. You will still be able to sense through the senses. You will still see things arising, passing, and going. But bring and move your center towards the observer. Move your identity towards that, the subject, not the experience. You might also try to perceive the inner space as empty. See if you can tune into that quality of emptiness. Where maybe for a few seconds nothing happens, nothing is experienced. And see if you can rest a little longer in that space where nothing happens. In that space of, in that sense of emptiness. This emptiness is the container in which everything is perceived and experienced. So you will notice perception and experiences arising within this emptiness. And you let them pass, and you go back to that sense of emptiness. You can use it as your anchor. You're not trying to control anything. You're simply giving space to that perception of emptiness in which everything is experienced. And coming back to it again and again. Anytime all experiences are past. In this emptiness, your egoic-self dissolves. There's nothing for it to do. In this emptiness, there is just your presence, not your person, not your personality, but your presence. When it's truly empty, there's just and still. Conscious presence. That's your true self. But there is no story of any kind. Just pure presence. Allowing the sound to take you back to that spaciousness, to that emptiness. Slowly coming back to the group. How was it? Difficult? Easy? Tell me something. I tell you what is difficult about it. Difficult about this particular anchor we talked about, of this tuning into the emptiness. And why I said it's an advanced thing. Because it's much easier to remain aware and present when something is happening. Isn't it? Something happening keeps you, in a way, present. Doesn't matter what it is, that experience, even if it's thoughts or feelings or perceptions. They anchor you into the present moment through the observation and the perception. That's why at night, if your mind is very busy and you keep thinking, and you're in bed, you can't fall asleep. Right? When the mind is too busy and you keep watching it and you're trying to sleep, you can't. Why? Because there is so much happening. And that happening is keeping you conscious. You can't fall into the unconscious. So it's difficult when there is nothing happening and there is just emptiness to remain conscious. It's very easy to fall asleep, for example. So that's why I said it's an advanced thing. Why? Because to be able to stay present when nothing is happening for a prolonged period of time, not just a few seconds, we need to crystallize first our presence, our awareness through the practice. What does it mean to crystallize the presence? It means just, we could use a different word. We could use the awaken that inner energy, that inner life force, that presence that lives within us. Practice and awaken it more and more. So living our days more and more in a space of presence and less lost in thoughts. Through daily practice, I practice to be as much as I can present and not get lost in thoughts. For example, that's a typical way to awaken that sense of presence, to crystallize it so it becomes more and more tangible, to awaken that little tiny flame and let it become a bigger flame. If you see that awareness as a light or as a flame, you can visualize it in that way. Then maybe in the beginning, maybe there is hardly any flame. There's just a spark once in a while in the dark. Oh, a spark. And then back in the unconscious. And then slowly, slowly, there's a little flame starting. And then you practice and the little flame gets a little bigger. It's more light. When that flame is big enough, then it's easier to withstand, to stay present in that when nothing is happening. Imagine this empty big space. It's all dark, but your flame is strong enough that keeps it lit, so you don't fall asleep. Yet there is nothing happening, right? That's why I said it's a little advanced. Maybe for you, it's already very easy. I'm not saying that you're not advanced. I don't know. You know. But don't feel bad if you try that and you start feeling, oh my God, I'm falling asleep. I'm falling asleep. Well, yeah, I'm explaining to you why. Because you have to strengthen that inner flame of presence through your daily practice. Was somebody falling asleep more easily today during the meditation? Yeah, Aura. Yes. Yeah, it's normal. Don't worry. Nothing bad about it. So it's a natural thing to understand that our attention is naturally trained in being aware of something, aware of objects. Object can be anything, can be a physical object or can be an experience. A still object can be a thought, still an object. Remember the example I made once, if I bring you in a room and there's nobody there and just the room with furniture and ask you, what do you see? You say, well, I see a table, some chairs and a kitchen. That's what you see. That's where your attention goes naturally, right? To the furniture. And then I take all the furniture, I take you out of the room, I take all the furniture out, I take you back in the room and I ask you, what do you see? Nothing. I say, nothing. I ask you, nothing? Yeah, nothing, just space. And then I ask you, so the space was there before too? Or did I take the furniture out and I put the space in? And you said, no, of course, it was already there. But your attention was going to the furniture, not to the space, right? Yes. So naturally, we are trained to have an awareness that is object-oriented. So to ask the awareness to be aware of nothing, to be aware of space, to be aware of emptiness, it's a big step. It means like we are trying to retrain ourselves to start perceive not only form, the world of form, but the formless too. So it takes a little practice. So don't feel bad if you feel like you start falling asleep when there is nothing happening. That is why. But work through that, work towards that. You feel for yourself when you're ready. Even within a session or within a week or within a month, there might be days where you feel like particularly present and particularly awake. You feel a lot of vitality inside, and yet you feel very quiet. Well, okay, then maybe those are the days where you go like, oh, let me practice emptiness, because that vitality is already there, and it's going to be easy to stay present and not falling asleep when nothing is happening. And other days you feel like, my God, my mind is going here and there and there, and let me sit and quiet down a little bit. Yeah. Maybe those are days where you need to just observe what is happening and just do that. You feel for yourself. Yeah. It's always different. Simone, did you want to share something?
Yes. Just thank you for being there, and yeah, I can feel a little shift since we started within myself. I'm not so hungry for experience anymore as I used to be, or I start to question it more.
Yes.
Because I'm very experience orientated, so I have this paradox. When I do something, I lose myself, and I am completely. I just am when I cycle, when I swim, when I immerse myself in nature. So I'm a little bit of an addict when it comes to doing things in nature.
Yes.
Because it absorbs me fully and takes me away from my thoughts.
That's a good addiction.
Yes. Yes. But on the other hand, it's good to shine a light on everything from a different angle and discover other layers and work through the restlessness that arises when there's nothing to turn to, when there's no focus. Oh, I have a beautiful experience like cycling along the river, swimming, and discovering new things.
Yes.
So for me, that always works. It's a paradox. Or when I write a diary, suddenly there's a moment of nothing. There's nothing happening. What am I doing? I'm writing. There's nothing, and it feels beautiful. It seems that the evolution has programmed us this way, that we are always in the outside. So otherwise, we probably wouldn't be here if we weren't focused on beautiful experiences. So in a sense, this going inwards for me is kind of unnatural. In a sense, going against evolution, going against our programming. I don't mean it in a negative way, because it's probably really the meaning of freedom to question everything, even our programming from evolution, from Mother Nature. So yes.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're saying is true. We are programmed because the senses, for example, the five senses, the outer senses, are made really to perceive the outer world, isn't it? So
Yes.
it's true biologically, where you say we're naturally built in that way. In a sense, we are. And we use the senses, at least in my teaching and in my practice. There is like many practices or spiritual movement or religions that say, oh, you're not your body, you're not the senses. So, you have to just let it go and focus on something else in your practice. But I have a much more maybe tantric approach, where we use the senses because we use the body to be present, to be more present. So we use going for a ride with a bicycle along the river to feel present and alive and enjoy that moment fully, without thinking about anything else, but just being there and enjoying that experience. That is practice. And that's life. It's beautiful. Why not enjoying it? Are you kidding me? Life is made to be enjoyed. And so that is a very good first step. So, or in between steps, where we practice what it's like to be present. For example, riding a bicycle and enjoying this, seeing the river or whatever, or being in nature. Beautiful. What we're talking about now, it's a further step, inner step, more deeper. Which is, okay, because really the big question is, what am I? And what will I be once this body naturally ends? And what was I before? Those big existential questions. Who am I really? Am I just this body and these senses? Or I'm something deeper than that I haven't tapped in yet? That's what many people ask themselves. That's why they move into meditation. And what is going to happen as in the moment that I'm passing, and the body is dying? The Tibetan developed the Bardo, which is a profound teaching that talks about exactly that transition from form to the formless. And they actually guide you through, they create a whole science around it, how to guide you through moving from form to formless without freaking out, literally. So they say, well, life is a preparation, for example, to death. Because it's an enormous jump. If you're completely identified only with body and senses, death is going to can be something very unusual, unfamiliar, and scary. Versus if you practice in your life, you come to a point where even when your body is releasing, even when your senses starts not functioning, you feel comfortable in that, just spaciousness, in that presence, because you feel you're still there. Your consciousness is there. You're still there, but in a different way, because there is not that strong link with the body anymore and the senses. It becomes less and less. But you don't panic. You don't fall into fear, because you prepare yourself to that too. So, it's up to each of us has a different desire, and is in a different place in their evolution as a soul, call it whatever you want. So we're all different. For some people, meditation as a way to just become present and relax, it's plenty. It's beautiful. It helps you to live more fully your life and more joyfully. Beautiful. And for some people, that's plenty. It's already an achievement not to be constantly lost in their thoughts. It's a beautiful achievement, no doubt. And that can be just enough. Or you might come to a point where you go like, okay, but what if I go deeper? What is there? I want to touch a deeper space in me. There is something else that I'm still not getting or not. I feel I want to get in touch with that. So you want to go a little deeper, then you go a little deeper. As you said, there are many layers, and it's good to mention and watch things from different perspectives, not only one, and talk about stages that you might or might not go through in your life and in your practice. So it's nice. Let's put everything on the plate so you know when a certain new layer arises, at least you recognize it and you don't go like, oh, what is that? I feel lost. Oh, wait a second, I can't be aware of anything. And you get confused. And now you know it's okay not to be aware of anything. It's okay when nothing happens. You can rest in that space. It's not something to wonder about or worried or be afraid of. I don't know if there was a question, and I don't know if I answered that question, Simone. I hope so.
Yeah. It's just it's just a mystical experience, and it's like you can't grasp it, you can't define it, you can't really describe it. It's like, you know, it's fluid. It's a fluid experience, and
yes,
one moment you're on the outside, and then you're in the middle of a religious experience, and then you're out of it again, and it's the profane again, and it's yeah. Sometimes I ask myself to make myself stop. Where was I 100 years ago? Where will I be 100 years ago? In 100 years. So and that makes me stop thinking, and so there's I think there's little techniques that one can develop, and what we're doing here is it's really helpful to transcend the you know,
the story.
Yes, the physical you know, programming that we have.
Yeah. I call that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I call that the story, because the story includes everything. Includes I am this body, you know, identification with body. I am Shastro. I am this persona. You know, this and this and that is my past, and this is what happened in my life. That's my story. This is what I wish for the future. That's also my story. You know, this is what I feel. This is my personality. This is my astrological sign, whatever. I'm a man or a woman, you know, it's all part of the story. Okay, if you remove the whole story, what is left? Because I don't want to just be my story, no? I know I'm something beyond the story. That I came into this life in this body, there was no story yet. So what was there? And one day I'll be leaving this body. What is going to be left? Because out of the body, there is no story left. Letting go of everything. It's a deep let go of death, isn't it? So what is going to be left? Beyond the story. That's what very stimulating me sometime. It just sparked my interest. And doesn't mean I don't enjoy life in the meanwhile, because that is also our practice. It's also part of my practice. Life is something to be experienced and enjoyed, not a cross to carry, like many people are doing. Being in nature is beautiful. Why? Well, part of it is because you look around and you realize there is no story. There's nobody carrying a cross. There's no tree carrying a cross, no birds singing carrying a cross, right? No clouds and wind in the sky, and no birds flying and cruising with the currents in the air. And everybody's blissful, just blissfully present and one with existence. So why should I carry a cross just because I'm a human? Because somebody told me to? Because I created a story. And that story in itself can become a cross at a certain point. Maybe. Maybe sometime you want a bigger space, a bigger understanding, a bigger experience that transcends the story. And that's a deep let go. It's like a death, actually. The mystic used to say, you have to die every moment to yourself. If you're able to die every moment, you'll be completely alive and present. When I heard it the first time, I was scratching my head. I was like, what? What the heck are they talking about? Die every moment to be reborn and be alive? I don't know what that means. But now I start getting a feel for it, what it means. In the practice, those moments where you let go of everything, that's a little death. Let go of experiences, let go of feeling that you are a body, let go of everything. Just rest in that emptiness. It's a deep let go. It's like a death. That's what they mean. But riding the bicycle, being present along the river is part of your practice. Don't get me wrong. It's part of what needs to be enjoyed and practiced. It's presence in movement. We talked about that. It's absolutely part of our practice. Otherwise, we'll be in a cave in the Himalayas sitting. But that's not our path. Our path is learning through being in the world to become more and more present. Through doing also, through riding the bicycle.
Thank you. You make me feel less guilty now because I thought I wasn't practicing enough.
Yeah, exactly. You are. Bicycling meditation, it's wonderful. It's a great practice. Anything is, drinking a cup of tea too. Washing the floor is, everything is, can be. I love riding a bike. It makes me happy. As soon as I'm on a bike, I feel happy. I don't know why. Maybe it connects with my childhood or makes me feel free and I'm always happy when I'm on a bicycle. I love it. I don't know why, but I just love it. Unfortunately, I live in an area that is a lot of up and downs, and the roads are not very easy to. Like in Holland, for example, I don't know. Are you in Germany, Simone?
Oh, I'm in near Treviso.
You're in Italy.
Yeah.
You have a bike path there?
I came with my bicycle because I can't come without, and I took it on the bus and took it on the train. So I'm here for a month or maybe longer. So
yeah,
and then I'll go back to Berlin. And it's very flat here, so that helps.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, your bike, the bike for you is like what the surfboard is for Melchior. He's not here now, but he's really a surfer, a big surfer. You know, it's your meditation. Like for him, the surfing is just it's a entry point, and you know, it's a portal into the present. It's beautiful. So when you find one that works for you, just go for it. Or you choose to, anything becomes a portal, even drinking a cup of tea. Why not? Okay, what else wants to be shared before we close? Yeah, Abhilasha.
Yeah, for me it was very beautiful, and it is very beautiful also to sit. I mean, to sit in this emptiness, and I feel now that it is very nourishing, really, that I really feel, wow, all my cells kind of bath in it. So I start really now enjoying this silence. And also when you start with this music already, I felt, now I have to listen also more to music and just sit. I feel like, because to go out, I also am very much to go out and on the bicycle and everything, but I feel this tension in my body. And then when I come back from that, I feel really tired. And now with this sitting, and also, yeah, also that it dissolves this sense of separation. That's for me a big wound. I feel that. This sense of separation. And when I am coming in touch with this nothingness, or that you are everything, then suddenly, wow, it's big space opens up.
Yeah.
And that I feel now not anymore, it doesn't scare me anymore. I feel really nourished also in the body. Before I also like kind of as if it is scary, but I don't feel, and I feel now it helps me to stay in the body.
Yes.
Exactly. To stay in the body. Because before I wanted to fly out, I didn't want to be in the body really. Really also contracting and
yes.
Finally. Finally a space where really you don't have to worry, and
yes,
also when I'm alive, you know, when I'm in the body.
Very alive in those moments.
So and really you support that. I feel thankful for that, because you support it. I don't feel this support so much.
Yeah. Great.
Because going in is really you do it on your own, but now you make it more like, oh, you can share it also, you know. And that's a help. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I really feel it's like a bath. I really felt like a bath.
Yes, it is. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
It's absolutely like that. When in the beginning can be scary, but it's just the egoic mind is so used to, it's so object oriented that emptiness is scary. So it's not used to. But you let it go and you allow yourself to dive into that. And it's like a bath, as you said, because you get closer to the source. So the deeper you go, the closer to the source you go. And the source is pure nourishment. The source is pure nourishment. It's where we come from. It's life force itself. So when you have those moments, it's like taking a dip into a pool of silence, of emptiness, you know, and maybe you're there like 10, 20 seconds, maybe you're there 5 minutes, but when you come out, you always feel like rejuvenated and recharged and like rested and relaxed and present, because you dipped into that existential pool.
Mm.
So I totally understand what you're referring to. And sometime in my days when I feel like I'm too far from that, you know, I feel like, wait a second, let me sit a moment. You know, so it becomes a need at a certain point. And that's beautiful too. And yes, what you said is totally true. You feel more alive, more present, more in your body. Your body is more relaxed. You feel nourished. That's a correct word. It is nourishment. It's like a baby getting attached to the boob of the mother, you know? The big boob of existence is just that's what it's like. Beautiful. Mickey, did you want to say something?
It's exactly what I wanted to say, is that now that I'm more present during the day and in my life, it's I'm more aware of when I'm missing it. When something triggers my mind and my thoughts, so I'm much more, and then I miss it, and I stop, and yeah.
You miss it.
Yeah, I miss
Yeah.
being present.
Yes.
Yes. So and I have two other things to say. Is also for me, nature is wonderful. Earlier in the week, I went for a walk, and there were horses. Excuse me. And usually I talk to them, and as I started walking, they ran with me, and the experience was just so wonderful. I felt so present in that moment with the animals. It
Yeah.
was truly amazing. And then just one other thing is, I found some of our previous sessions, there are some guided meditations that helps me a lot to to go into this empty space. And one is, I'm going to tell you, because maybe for others, if they experience the same thing, it's number 14. It's the effortless way. Meditation. Really, I often cry afterwards, because going into that empty space where there's nothing, not even there's no experience, and no sensation, no emotions, nothing. and I often it afterwards, I don't know if it's a sadness having to come back or what it is, but yes, it's that particular meditation is really very useful for me. And then of course the Zen stick helps.
Yeah, the ball, the Tibetan ball. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
very, very precious, your teachings is it's truly it has changed my life radically, in a good sense. So thank you very much, Shastro.
You're very welcome.
It's I try to, when I talk to people, to also share what I experience, and
Yeah, the main thing is that you enjoy your own experience, and And then some people might go like, well, but what do? You look so happy. Or what, how come you're always so relaxed? And then they ask you a question and then you can share.
Yeah,
But sometimes it has to come from them, no? That interest.
exactly.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. Number 14.
The effortless way.
What is the title?
The effortless way.
Okay. So in the guided meditation, there is an emphasis on space and
I don't know, because sometimes it's something that triggers it for me, and that one,
just works.
it just works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing. We have a huge library of videos by now. If you go on my YouTube channel, both Italian and English. I mean, we have 2 series in English, and this one is getting longer and longer. I think this is going to be video number 30 of the second series. So, and every video is different because the guided meditation itself, I never know what is going to come out of my mouth. So that's also always new and a little different, even though the main structure might look the same, but you might one that works for you like you did, and then great, you can use that anytime you want if you need a guidance of any kind.
I made a list and I put little hearts next to the ones that really work for me.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
Great. You're the perfect student.
perfection doesn't exist.
I know, that's why I said it. But I'm just joking. But that's a very beautiful and smart way to use all this material we have available through this technology. That's why I'm doing it. It's beautiful. And I'm happy when somebody like that uses it and take advantage of it. That's why I do it.
Yeah,
So thank you.
Even around here, some French people are listening to the English ones with subtitles, so I encourage them to listen to it. Yeah, and they can follow.
They get automatic subtitles on YouTube.
Yes.
In French.
Yes.
That's good. That's handy.
When you go into, what is it, réglage?
Yeah, a little wheel, like
yes, you can select it.
Yeah, a little bit at the bottom. No, you click there and you can go like CC, or it says something like CC. Yeah, I think subtitles.
So I have to translate. Translate automatically. You click on that, and then you get the list of language.
Yeah. That's handy, yeah?
Yeah, it's very handy.
Yeah. So we can pass it on to people that don't speak English or Italian.
Sometimes I refer, even in my teaching also, I refer to something you said, or to the anchors or something, and then people are curious. How can I know more? And I
sure. Beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful way of getting introduced. I don't think they would join our group because they can't speak English well enough or understand well enough to.
That's another beautiful thing of having all these videos. People can be at home, and when they want, just follow.
Yeah.
And follow the teachings and practice the meditation.
Yeah.
Whenever they want. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Very nice to be with you guys, as always.
Yeah.
And do you want to unmute yourself for a second? So I think, let me look next Friday if I'm here or not. Just a second. Yes. So Friday 17th, we're going to meet. but I think the Friday after not. Yeah, Friday after I'm in Mandal. So yes, Friday 17th, next week.
Friday
Hugs.
17. Wow.
Yes, it brings luck. It's gonna be a very special session.
Yes.
Don't miss it. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Thank you for being here.
Maestro.
Thank you for your presence and your silence and your sharings.
So,
Bye.
ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.